Okay, good afternoon. Again, everybody my side. I'm David Storer, Research and Innovation Director at CLEPA, the Association of Automotive Suppliers. We're actually based very close to here in Brussels. And thank you also for participating in this final roundtable discussion. I know it's hot in here. I know it's been quite a long day. There's a lot of information being shared. So we're going to try and make this session a little bit more dynamic. And what I mean by that is I'm going to ask each of our panelists a question. Hopefully they're going to give a nice, sharp, snappy answer. It won't take too long. And that will leave time for all of you to ask questions. And I would really like to encourage you to ask questions. So please, as the sirens go by, as you know, we are going through this first round of questions, please think of some interesting questions to ask. In particular, I think it would be very interesting to focus this panel discussion on the future of electromobility, of this vehicle or vehicles of this type, because there's a tremendous future. You know, we see a tremendous increase in electromobility, not only in Europe, but around the world. And I also want to refer to some other activities that are ongoing. There are lots of projects dealing with electromobility. And yesterday, for example, there was the final event of a project called Solutions Plus, which is really looking at electromobility around the world, focusing in particular on frugal design. So vehicles that are inexpensive or cheap, as Armin said earlier today, let's say affordable or frugal, that are designed in such a way to be not only inexpensive to maybe make and buy, but also to run, to maintain, to repair. And on that note, I would like to go straight away to Lamberto Salvan, who is, I think, product sales manager, let's say, but also, in particular, one of the owners, one of the brothers that own Alke, the vehicle manufacturer that's had such an important role in this project. So what I would like to ask you, Lamberto, is, you know, how do you see this vehicle? So we've seen the applications perhaps in a European context, in terms of delivery, last mile delivery. But could you share some more light on this issue of frugal design? And also, because it's a rugged vehicle, I mean, do you see this being applied also around the world, perhaps in more difficult contexts, you know, maybe where the terrain is more difficult? Can you share some light on that aspect?
Yeah, so some comment about the vehicle platform. Last mile delivery is one part of the potential market because already our today product line is sold in many different sectors, from logistics, of course, public authorities, waste management, servicing in parks, industrial application, airports, and tourism. So it is much wider. In this project, we focused on last mile delivery because also of use cases that we had in mind, and also because there is a strong potential. But in parallel, there are other full segment of market that can be beneficial, where, let's say that where a compact vehicle is needed. So big trucks are not satisfying this requirement. So the coverage is larger, not only at European level, because already these vehicles are exported also, not this one, but the previous generation is sold in Middle East and all the other continents. Let's say that the trend is to find the right size for the right purpose. Till yesterday, probably we have oversized, let's say, the proposals. Now is to find the right vehicle for the right application. That's a challenge, I see from our perspective.
Yeah, this aspect of being fit for purpose, or designing, let's say, for purpose is really important. It's a discussion we often have when we talk about the battery systems in vehicles, because batteries are so expensive, we don't want to over-dimension them. And perhaps Armin Hollstein from Vitesco, I'd like to come to you. You gave a very clear presentation about the e-axle and about the different features, the design features there. So Armin, you have many years of experience as a mechanical engineer in the automotive domain, but also working on electrification as well. So perhaps, can you also share some light on how you feel the design of certain components that Vitesco makes, how that could perhaps be taken further to be even more frugal, to be even more affordable? Do you see developments taking place in that sense?
Yes, because it's clear during the last years when electromobility becomes more and more popular, also we as supplier learned a lot of things with customer projects and with customers, of course, and now the market is changing from our point of view. We see that in Europe especially, we have SUVs and high-powered BEVs on the market, and actually the values per year are decreasing. And we see perhaps a kind of saturation of the market, and others say, okay, missing governmental fees for support for purchases. I don't think so. That is a core reason, because the people who can afford for 50,000 or even more euros such a kind of vehicle, they don't need 6,000 euros add-on, really, if they're convinced to buy a suitable vehicle. So I guess, and the indications for that change are becoming more and more impressive during the last 2 years, that now the market also begins to request more and more cheaper vehicles. Yeah, that means, you see also in the press, Volkswagen has tried to establish a cooperation with Renault for a vehicle below 20,000 euros. Now they do that solely. Okay, but nevertheless, this kind of vehicles are missing, actually. And this will also be much more difficult for customers which do not earn so much money to get an appropriate vehicle and all, even ICE driven, because, as you know, Euro 7 sorry, has already prepared the grave for all ICE driven small vehicles. Yeah? So you know perhaps that the Fiat 500 will now no longer be delivered with ICE, but only available as BEV. So, and these thoughts about the change in market, where we already get the first indications several years ago, at that time when we joined URBANIZed, was a motivation to say, okay, let's try to create a concept, a drivetrain concept that is more cost effective, but also still effective in its performance. Yes, it's very difficult, of course, and here we had the chance in this project to hear the first steps.
Well, thank you for that, because this area of frugal design, I mean, I feel there's still a long way to go there. And also thanks for mentioning the Fiat 500 electric vehicle that we did many projects on in the past that was focusing on developing solutions for that vehicle. I'm going to come now to you, Omar, Professor Omar Hegazy, who is from VUB, which, if you don't know, is very close to here. So we heard in one of the very first presentations today about power electronics, about gallium nitride, and about how that has potential for electrification in general. It's been applied and researched within this project. But can you again shed a little bit more light on how you see the potential for this type of semiconductor, particularly the impact that you think it may have in general on electric vehicles and electromobility going forward?
Yeah. Thank you, David. I think I can flash back what I could say. We start with silicon carbide, with silicon first, and then we have silicon IGBT, silicon MOSFET. This is a technology that's used as a semiconductor, and we suffering a lot for efficiency, especially on the lower loading activity, lower voltage, lower current. There we have very low efficiency. And come on top that the wide bandgap technology entered the market. We start with SiC technology that now is more for heavy duty application, that more driven technology. There you see potential for improvement for efficiency in this region, but we ask for more efficient system and come to GaN system. GaN is gallium nitride technology, where give us more flexibility on optimizing the size and optimizing the cooling system. Where we come back again is the full ecosystem, not only one-tied components, but we need to look at the electric drive. The electric drive is an electric motor and also the power electronics, the inverter, or what you call combined DC converter with inverter as well. As you know that we can have also more variable DC link at the time, but for this kind of application that we focus on introducing GaN technology that available in the market, but we were not aware that it will really get a cost effective, is a feasibility would be successful. We need to prove, and we need to have a prototype. We start, before this urbanized, we start with very small trial with OBC with 650 volt with GaN system, but the issue there that the limited current. But here for this application, another challenge is low voltage, high current. This is another design for power circuits. So you design the inverter from a way that you use the power circuit design, not a light current. In this case, you have really highly integrated. And we come to the idea of modularity. So, okay, is compact or modularity, or you need to make a compromise solution? So what we succeed in this project to test and introduce a very nice modular hub bridge with GaN, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is 8 die, what you call die is very tight switch that there is soldered by our colleagues. And there we succeed to have 8 are in parallel and 8 in parallel. So you see only one board. I think maybe Zone bring it back at the back there is very tight. One is very small with 600 amps. That is not exist, is not yet exist in the market. We believe in this technology that we can easily replace the die package by a new technology from GaN system or Infineon. But the concept is now is we're looking for high efficient system. Of course, if we are going for mass production, you have cost effective. We are a research institute. We are not really tier 1 supplier or a big giant like Vitesco, no. We try to also see, like recently we showed to Martin and also Armin, the system is working with a GaN system with their motor, where we see is also a lot of potential, because we think as a fleet operator that you run maybe not a few vehicles, you run hundreds. You need to take care about reliability, availability, robustness of the system. The service is there all time, 24 hours, 7 days. That is there. So GaN system offer a robust system. Really the reliability lifetime is higher than the other technology. So we see a potential there, but of course, we need to study also, as also Salima mentioned, that we need to study also the life cycle. So if you are going for highly integrated, so we need to see also recyclability. Not only modularity, but also recyclability. How we are going to ensure the system is really highly compact, but also recyclable. That is the coming season, because that will impact also the footprint of the system and so on. So we need to make a compromise way that we have a good uptake later by big tier 1 supplier, also transfer of knowledge. But now we learn, proof of concept that is working, that's high efficient, and feasible for these technologies.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. By the way, that also leads me to another advertisement for the CLEPA Innovation Awards. Now, Omar is one of our jury members. He's one of the people, one of our key people evaluating the applications of innovations in the green domain. We have green and digital. But we also have our final event on the 4th of December, the ceremony here in Brussels. 4th of December that was. And of course, I would like you to be there. Yeah. And the invitation is open to everybody. If you would like an invitation, just please let me know. Because that's a very good opportunity to network with the tier 1s that you mentioned before, with Vitesco and Schaeffler that you mentioned before as well. So yeah, that's a date to put in your calendars already. And on this question of efficiency in general, Róbinson Medina from TNO, You talked about the different eco functions, eco routing, eco charging, eco driving, eco comfort. I mean, these seem like, you know, really important features in this vehicle. But, you know, in the past, we've heard quite a lot of talk about eco routing in particular, also eco charging maybe separately. Can you shed a little bit of light for us on what is new, what is special perhaps about the functions that have been developed within this project?
Okay, thanks for the question. There is a piece of novelty on each one of the functions that is shared today. So if I think, for example, on eco routing, the principal novelty is that it's really tailored for electric vehicles, and that is not common or is not applied yet there. So you need to take things into account, like range of the vehicle, charging times, and so on. So the classical problem that was solved in the past, or that is available in commercial software, needs to be changed and reshaped. For the case of eco charging, it is there are two things. So it's smart charging. You need to think how to distribute the energy that the vehicle needs throughout the day. And the additional piece of novelty that we put here was with respect to the battery aging, that the algorithm charges the battery not only to fulfill an energy requirement, but also to keep the battery as healthy as possible. On the onboard application, so we have the driving algorithm and we have the comfort algorithm. And so each one of them also have a special a piece of novelty as well. So the driving algorithm is meant for a real-time implementation, so it's simplified, it's based on rules, such that it can really run into the vehicle without any special or high-end equipment as it is commonly done in publication or in scientific literature. And the same applies for the comfort algorithm, that the optimization problem is made on a simplified way with convex functions, such that you can solve it on a piece of hardware like this. Apart from that, so that's the technical novelty, there is also a higher level analysis that is done, and it's more on the economical benefits on this and how do they interact with each other. So from the routing algorithm, it is very clear that if you reduce traveling time, that means that the driver will need to spend less time on the road, and that leads to a lower cost. So you need to spend less cost on the driver. And with respect to the charging, so you spend less energy, that's directly translated into a saving. From the comfort part, you save energy from the battery, because at the end you use less energy into cooling or heating up the cabin. And last, but then with the driving one, there is a bit of a trade-off here, because if you do eco-driving, you save energy. That results in savings on electricity. But at the same time, if driving in an ecological way leads to a longer traveling time, that means that the driver will need to spend more time on the road, and then you lose money there. So there is a balance there that needs to be looked at into this. But that's roughly the novelty or the nature of the novelty on these functions.
Okay, thank you. Now, let me go now to Simona Roka from IDIADA. Simona is an expert on safety, crashworthiness. In particular, I think you, if I'm not mistaken, you represent also IDIADA in the Euro NCAP as well. So a real expert on safety. So can you please just remind us, because I was, really interested in the presentation on the safety aspects, the crashworthiness. A lot of work's been done both virtually and actually in real life. So can you please also give us an overview again very quickly about the tests that were performed, about the very high rating that the vehicle achieved? And then I have another question to ask you about the impact also on vulnerable road users and perhaps also the gender aspects that we heard very quickly before. So please can you just remind us about the crashworthiness in particular? Okay.
Let me make it shorter, because I think it was 3 years of project, so in one question it was a little bit harder. But yeah, so as my colleagues have already explained, we defined a strategy of how to, let's say, attack the Alke vehicle in order to improve it. So we needed to split it into several steps for the frontal, lateral, and then for the occupant itself. What have been done? So a lot of simulations where Mario was highly involved for many, many months. Then there was a final testing. In between, we did some testing in order to validate, because obviously you cannot go just from simulation to the whole vehicle. We have focused in this project for the occupant, so we have been looking at the load cases which are defined by Euro NCAP for L7E vehicle, which is different type of vehicle, but very similar to, with the characteristics of weight, etc., to the urbanized one. So what is the difference? So, for example, the N1 vehicles, the Alke vehicle, already need to pass the regulations in order to be sold on roads, okay? The Euro NCAP, what it's making is making a little bit harder to evaluate the vehicle. So they're putting a little bit harder limits. You need to pass different tests, etc. So that's why we have been looking at something which is more difficult than standard or state-of-the-art. That's why we have chosen, or it was chosen, the L7E protocol, which we have done for the, as I said, front and lateral one. So the occupant, let's say, in this vehicle, it's okay. He will survive the frontal-lateral crash. Not only survive, but he will also not sustain any serious injuries. So what else is needed? As was mentioned, these vehicles will be circulating in dense urban areas. So we need to have a look around the vehicle. We need to have a look on the vulnerable road users. These vehicles will be on the streets which are very narrow. So there will be children, there will be pedestrians, there will be a lot of other participants on the roads. So what is needed, obviously, is the pedestrian safety now. It is a little bit more complex because, obviously, you can see that the vehicle has sharp edges, etc. So there is a lot of room for improvement. Also, already existing protocols can be applied. So, for example, the Euro NCAP ones, in order to improve, let's say, the front end, to the bumper and also the windscreen. So I think it would be very nice to have another follow-up project which would have a look at it. And as you mentioned, the gender issue. So yeah, it was very, very interesting because just last week or 2 weeks ago in one meeting there was mentioned that in Japan, mainly the drivers of these vehicles are females. So I don't know why Japan is that special, but so we have females driving these vehicles up to 2.8 tons. It is very popular. So what does it mean? That also we have more risk of accidents for the females. As you could see on the videos, what was done was with 50 percentile, which we call a dummy of male posture. So what we need to do, we need to go a little bit further and see, okay, so we have a female driving the vehicles, very popular. So is it suitable for females? Are the females going to be also the same protected as the males? So there is a room for improvements. We have moved so far from the state-of-the-art of the vehicle. So it is safe, it is very nice improvements done on the vehicle, but there's still room for improvement.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Again, referring to the project I mentioned before, Solutions Plus, it was really interesting. And one of the statements that was made yesterday was gender equality through e-mobility. You know, it seems, well, the focus yesterday was particularly on Africa in this case, but it's touching on the points you were mentioning as well. You know, how important it is to really tailor the vehicles and the use for females, because it will be females in many countries are actually using this type of vehicle. So thank you for that insight. So now, like I mentioned before, I'd like to open up the floor for questions. Have you prepared any questions? Okay, great. Lamberto.
This is a question for Omar.
Thank you.
So, where the gallium valley in Europe is going to be placed? Is there any contract with any company to manufacture gallium power electronics, gallium nitride power electronics, where all your research will be industrialized?
For our group, that we are really heavily collaboration with Infineon, that is the key partner that we are relying on. We are in several projects, especially for KDT program, is chips now joint undertaken, where we see also where the technology will go. Huh? There we test with them, we get a lot of knowledge, learning process from each other. And of course, we take this one as stage for Horizon Europe projects that we are involved, like Urbanized, like Giants, like other projects that we are busy with that. I couldn't make a very sharp answer for that because we are open for collaboration because we are a university, that's the basis. We are easy to reach, to be reached, and easy to also use our infrastructure facility to help also tier one supplier, also material provider to test their material in more automotive environment that you can see in the, you saw it in the lab. So we are in a good track. What I could say, my group, that we are working hard to be in the state of art, what we call state of art infrastructure, building up also knowledge from project to project that you see also we are very active in projects, also transfer knowledge to tier one supplier and tier two supplier and also manufacturers. That is win-win situation because that we have also PhD will be defended, will graduated, go direct to the industry, is knowledge transfer directly. That is what we call win-win situation. I couldn't really give one particular, but I give example for Infineon and IMAC here in Brussels or in Belgium. They are also give a very nice GAN system that we also in a high efficient project that we test with them as well. This we learn from each other. Huh? As I can highlight also based on these needs, based on this contribution, we tackle also the other side for component, is reliability. So it's lifetime, can the component sustain, yes or no? So you need to do standard tests, this is why we invest with also national funding like Flanders make funding, we do a co-funding and we launch a very, what we call very state-of-art reliability lab with 2 million invest to support also industry in this way, and I think we gain a lot and we learn a lot more from OEMs as well, based on the feedback from OEMs. As you can see, there is a revolution in electrification. We need to stick to the agenda of Europe 2030, 2050. So this is the strategy. There is no backward again to engine, that I could believe. No discussion on engine, combustion engine anymore. So I think we need to go on that. There is a need for material. So can we comply with a new regulation, with the new material needs? That is the big challenge for us because you see there are what we call specific spots for material location, and due to the fact that we will not go for political things now, but you know this current activity or current events in several regions that also make a lot of challenge for OEMs themselves, the industrial partner, to really be in line with the roadmap because before Corona even, was really optimistic scenario to go fast in electrification. And once we have Corona, that slowed down, shortening material. And then we have wars, you see. And now we have really a challenge on securing, what I call, securing the material, raw material is really crucial. Otherwise we'll have another side. If you go for electrification, again, the technology is linked to charging. So we have onboard charger and charger infrastructure. We need to give attention to the infrastructure. It's not only the project that we offer by the Commission, this research or innovation action, but we need to have the states themselves to take action for infrastructure. And without the state commitment, we'll not go far and be in line with strategy. This is what my opinion is, states. Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, though, but European projects are tremendously useful in this context. I mean, we see in a project like this, the strong collaboration between leading universities like VUB, key research and innovation centers like TNO and IDIADA, suppliers like Vitesco, and vehicle manufacturers, in this case, Alke. It's really important, I feel, that these actors do get together. I mean, without European projects, we wouldn't have this type of collaboration, honestly, and we wouldn't get to this kind of result. We see a tangible result here, something which could really make the difference in Europe and around the world. And you mentioned also, I'm going to advertise another project here, the Giants project. So the Giants project is kind of following on from this project in the sense that it's looking at frugal vehicles for last goods delivery, but really looking at application around the world. So again, there's this link to the Solutions Plus project I mentioned before. So what's really important is when a project comes to an end, it's not really the end. It's the beginning of the next step, the next evolution. Do we have any more questions from the audience? Gentleman at the back.
Thank you. Maybe I have a question, let us say, in two parts. I think mainly on the electric drive, maybe to Vitesco, and also maybe from the other side, maybe it's also good to hear the opinion of Alke. You have shown very nicely the scalability of this electric motor operating at high voltages and low voltages. I just wanted to hear your opinion. So you have demonstrated now a 6-phase motor. So is that a configuration, which is not a standard one, is that a configuration which you would recommend? So if you have the choice, would you go for a drive with a 6-phase inverter and motor system, or would you rather prefer a 3-phase system, as you are doing now? So one motor driven by this 6-phase inverter. And then from the point of view of the powertrain, so we have currently a vehicle driven by one motor. Is that something what we would like to keep, or are there reasons to go to another configuration with regards to powertrain? Thank you.
Okay, so I will begin the first part of the question. Sorry. Yes, 6 phases or 3 phases. We have serial products with 6 phases in the 48-volt area, because this makes things easier for the inverter, because the overall current load is more distributed over 6 phases than 3 ones. As soon as you cross, let's say, around about 150 volt or so, 3 phases are more appropriate. It depends, of course, of the power structure of the machine. But 6 phases were introduced to have a more even distribution of the overall current. I hope this answers your question.
Thank you.
Okay.
And about the number of motors or the drivetrain configuration, let's say that, yes, this is 2-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. This platform is ready to also host a second motor in the front, providing 4-wheel drive capabilities. Okay, so that's in our roadmap. Dividing front and rear axle driving. If your question was to bring the motor, the drive in single motor with wheel drive motors, the answer is no, because we have already checked this possibility, but the torque and power needed for, on the different wheels is not complying with the present technologies. Also for the kind of usage, because this platform is used in normal urban environment, but can be a very relevant performance also off-road, on mountain, on hilly areas, on sand areas already, like it is. And the switch to other kind of technology like wheel motors provide lower performance. So yes, we can fit also double motor, but dividing the 2 axles. Thank you. Welcome.
Okay, do we have any final question? One last question back there. Oh, 2 questions.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm actually Naressa from Clean Air Asia. So actually, I'm part of, together with Judith from UN Habitat. So we were part of the Solutions Plus, and we got invited to this event yesterday. Coming from Asia, I'm looking at the demonstration. It's really impressive, and the technical discussions as well. So I think also related to what the moderator mentioned, actually, I wanted to ask the innovators in the European region, is there a vision or interest, not really in the short term or maybe in the long term perhaps, for innovators and industry players in the region to share the knowledge and expertise, to educate and collaborate with innovators from Asia, Latin America, and Africa as well? Because if I may speak on behalf of Asia, actually, there is this large demand, especially in the logistics, although right now it's in electric two-wheelers, but we're seeing this vehicle, for example, really in the future, especially that e-commerce is really big thing and large parcels are really becoming a common. So yeah, that's more of my question really, if there's a vision and also if there will be, for example, a platform or a consortium where non-European innovators and collaborators, industry players can collaborate up to co-develop vehicles the way Solutions Plus provided that kind of platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Salima, do you have an answer to that question, maybe?
So you want me to answer the question? Yeah.
And then
so
the question.
we have. We met yesterday at the Solutions Plus event, and it's true that we have the follow-up, like David spoke about. The giants. The giants take more into consideration also the constraints of the cost and of the climate, the urbanization of other continents than Europe. So there are two projects that are funded within the same call. One is Giant, the other one is ZEV Up. So I invite you to check up the conclusion of those two projects. We have also an open call. No, it's closed now since April. So we have specificity for the LCVs, so for the commercial vehicles. And two projects will be funded. We have received, I think, 9 proposals. And the answer, so the project that will be funded will be known by the second half of July. So in this one is also specifically for commercial activities. So yeah, this is a kind of follow-up that we have. I wanted also to say something about the female. So we had also a specific project called Virtual with female dummies that were tested, and this is also something that must be taken into consideration for that. So I was positively already surprised that we have 3 sizes of the maze. Being small myself, it's it's good to know that I'm taken into consideration. But yes, we have also this female dummy that the project is finished, and it's called Virtual. If you want to know more about it.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to also answer the lady at the back about the capacity building that was a feature of the Solutions Plus project. There is actually an important activity in Europe called the Automotive Skills Alliance, which is all about, I think, what you were asking about education, training, but also skilling and upskilling of workers. We at CLEPA are involved in this activity. There's a new project called Triremme, which has just been launched. But there's a tremendous database of information. And one of the points of focus is exactly electromobility, as you can imagine. So I would really encourage you to take a look at that, Automotive Skills Alliance. And if you need any further information, then please feel free to contact me, and I'll put you in contact with a guy called Jakob Stolfer, who is the person who's really leading that initiative. But as far as I know, even though obviously the focus is on Europe for the time being, it's very, very open. You know, we're trying to, this is a common problem that we have across Europe about the lack of skills, but you know, it's a problem around the world as well. So hopefully that can also help to answer your point. So I think at this point, it's probably the right moment to conclude this panel discussion. Thank you very much to all of the panelists for your contributions today, but throughout the project, together with your colleagues, of course. And thank you very much for all of the audience here today. Thank you for being here and for your questions and participation. Thank you.